Pallas Athena in Aries shows a perception that seeks to activate or initiate. Seeing is in terms of how we get something going. Because Aries' strong connection to vital energy, Pallas Athena in healing shows the vision which activates the vital force expressed in techniques such as homeopathy and acupuncture. Pallas Athena expresses aesthetically in athletes using their bodies as vehicles for the creative impulse or in the pioneering field of kinetic art. So it would be movement of your body. Politically, Pallas Athena is very militant warrior, mobilizing the vital energy into fighting for what the person believes in. The wisdom of Pallas Athena is that of sudden inspiration, the brainstorm, or the sudden pioneering urge. So here we have one chart example with Pallas Athena in Aries, right up here at the top at 12 degrees. This is for Halya. And we know that Pallas is currently in Pisces, and I will bring up the transits. But I first wanted to look at possible aspects in the chart between this asteroid goddess. She is, you could say, conjunct the North Node. She would give you energy towards your goals and your purpose in life, making things happen. Let's see what else. She's also squaring your ascendant. So she's challenging you to come out of that shell, since your rising sign is in Cancer at 14 degrees. This would lend to possible shyness or not being overly aggressive, being that of the nurturer, and she is challenging you to come out of that shell and show your true self. And I would think that you could do that with a Leo moon, because she is almost just outside of trining your moon. So she's really adding fire to that flame with the Pallas in Aries and your moon in Leo at 28 degrees. She's also hitting your part of fortune. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not your part of fortune. This would be the earth. I don't have part of fortune in this particular chart. This is just the earth where it shows up in your chart. So those would be some major aspects. Let's take a look at this side of the chart. We see her sextiling your Mercury. This would have you speaking up for human rights, possibly, for people that are less fortunate, being an advocate for other people and other people's money, possibly, new innovative ideas. She's also squaring your sun. Exactly. So she would be challenging you at the very core of who you are, especially when it comes to relationships, the seventh house. So I don't know if that resonates with you, but I would definitely be exploring. This is asking you to stand up for yourself in relationships and don't shy away like you may do by crawling into your shell, the little crab, and staying quiet to keep the peace, so to speak. Your sun is very powerful in this seventh house, but your rising sign, the face that you're showing the world, could be much more quiet. Let's see, what else? She is also opposing your south node. So this is probably not the best aspect, because this could be lending fire to old ways from a past life, keeping you in old ways, but she could also empower you to break free from those old ways. Now, if we take a look at going to add the aspects in here, and we will also take a look at what the grid is showing, so we can see what those transits are with your particular chart. Before I do that, I should probably point out you have Pallas in the 10th house, and Pallas in the 10th house represents Capricorn energy, and that is where your sun is just leaving in the 7th house. It's kind of on the cusp a little bit, but not really. You don't have anything in Capricorn. So let's look at the 10th house. When Pallas is in the 10th house, it suggests a strong destiny to accomplish and receive recognition in the professional world. One can use one's wisdom, nature to advance one's career. With women, this position can emphasize the archetypal situation of high professional success at the cost of the denial of your femininity, unless integrated with emotional needs. So it's almost as if you could sacrifice a family life for your career, unless you do embrace those both sides. And that would lend to your Cancer rising, your Cancer ascendant. That's part of what this challenge is right there. To give you a chart example, Helen Gurley Brown, she was the editor-in-chief of Cosmopolitan magazine, which encourages women's liberation. She has Pallas conjunct Jupiter in her 10th house. And if you think about it, she was extremely successful, but her whole entire life was her job. And so I would hope that you could balance your life out a little bit more with that Cancer rising. I apologize for that. I'm trying to keep the volunteers' information fairly private so that we don't have any issues. So this is still for Halya, and I'm trying to move this down, technical difficulties. There we go. So I'm hiding all of the other information in case, for privacy's sake. So I apologize for that little blip. All right, so here we have your birth chart with the current transits that are going on, and we're just paying attention to where is Pallas in your chart. So your 9th house, we know from looking at the previous chart, is in Pisces. This is where she currently is, 5 degrees Pisces, as I'm recording this portion of the video. And we can do the same aspects going around and count. So she is semi-sextile to your personal Pallas. She will move towards your personal Pallas in about 2 years. So really empowering you, putting you in charge, giving you the courage that you need to really get ahead, possibly in your career or the status that you're showing in the world. She's currently she'll be trining your rising sign in Cancer. So she's also going to be giving you some blessings in personal empowerment, I see. Currently, she is sextiling your sun. That's also giving you some power to speak up for yourself in certain situations. When she's making an aspect to the sun, Your mental and creative principles combined with your identity and your purpose are being activated. This combination indicates that the transformation of sexual creative energy into artistic and mental accomplishments are central to the life and purpose of you right now. Harmonious aspects like this point to strength of character, intelligence, and courage. And you could become very creative during this time because Pallas is very artistic. Not only is she a warrior that stands up for herself, but she balances herself through creativity. So I really love that about the aspects that she's making in your chart. John Lennon actually had a nice aspect of Pallas conjuncting his sun. So this is very similar. And I think that that's pretty beautiful. Let's see what she's doing with your moon. Oh, she's not quite opposing your moon, but not really too far off. Your mental and creative principles combined with emotions and feelings. So your emotions could be very heightened at this time, possibly with this particular transit. Let's see what else. She's really out of aspect there. I'm just trying to count and look at the different aspects. I would say that would probably be the biggest. Where is your Venus? Oh, well, no, she's too far out of aspect to measure up with your Venus from what I can see. Your Mercury, oh, she's in a semi-sextile to your Mercury, which is a minor aspect, but this could also be the mental and creative principles that are combined with intellect. And this combination generally heightens your creative intelligence, symbolized by this goddess warrior. The harmonious aspect can depict strong creative intellectual capabilities, and you could often display your power and your skill in the use of your words. So don't forget, your natal Pallas is in Aries. So that is about movement of the body as well as the mind. So you want to make sure that you keep on moving and grooving. And let me see, what kind of aspect is she making to any of your other planets? 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks as though she could possibly be trining Juno, which is another asteroid goddess that I'll speak about at another time. And the mental creative principle here combines with relating to urges. This combination uses partnerships to enhance your creative process. So you could be getting together with a spouse or a partner to come up on a new project. That this would be a really good time for that. And this also denotes the capacity to work with others to produce and create accomplishments in your life. This would be male and female polarities that are within you as well, that are coming into balance. You're often encouraged and supported in all of your developments and your creations by your partner. So this is really very, very nice aspect. I don't see anything stressful, truly. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're also trining Vesta down here, which is another asteroid goddess that I'll be speaking about. And when Pallas is trining Vesta, this would be the principle that combines your creative self with self-expression. And this is a powerful combination for focusing and manifesting your visions. So that's pretty nice. Like your ideas can really come into fruition at this time. Harmonious aspects can depict the capacity to become inspired by an idea or dedicated to a cause. So you could be standing up for other people's rights. Now, this is in the 5th house, so this is about creativity for sure. This also could involve children. And, oh, and you know what? There's a lot of romantic and sexual energy in that combination as well. So I think that this is pretty good. This should empower you in many ways. Do we have an opposition? No, not quite. So I think that's all I have for you, Halya. I hope this gave you a little bit of information and helped you to see how Pallas Athena is going to come in and empower you in so many different ways. Now, if I can just move on to the next slide, we'll be talking about those who have Pallas in Taurus. So I had 2 volunteers that wound up having Pallas in Taurus, Karen K. and Lisa B. First, I'll look at the chart of Karen Kane, and we see that you have Pallas in Taurus in your 2nd house, the house of values and money and the things that you own. It's also conjuncting or right next to the South Node. These are ideals, ideas that you had, that you brought in from a past life. The North Node is where we're pointing to now. The South Node is what you should be leaving behind. But you come into this life with the South Node energy. This is where you're comfortable. This is also where some of the challenges could be because of this conjunction. I'm also going to point out that this would also mean that you are directly opposing your North Node. So how does this goddess warrior help you out when she's in opposition to the direction that you need to be pointing in? And that's what we will be exploring. If I can get this to work properly. First of all, Pallas Athena in Taurus represents perceiving through the physical sense, through all of your senses and your organs. One continually sees the beauty of the physical world, of nature, through visual, auditory, and tactile senses. Because of Taurus's strong connection to the earth and physical substance, Pallas Athena can work through nature or by laying on hands of healing. Aesthetically, Pallas Athena is strong in Taurus, skilled in using color, form, and texture to reproduce beauty through art, music, landscaping. Oh, that was a confirmation, maybe. Politically, Pallas Athena in Taurus is concerned with fighting for the land, earth ecology, or land reform. The wisdom of Pallas in Taurus is common sense. The practical suggestions of folk remedies or streetwise knowledge. And actress Katharine Hepburn and her sensuality is partially described by her Pallas moon conjunct in Taurus in the 7th house. Yours is in the 2nd house. So we'll now explore what the 2nd house represents. Pallas Athena in the 2nd house points to a strong practical sense and creative skill in acquiring resources. One can manifest an abundance of material possessions or value in one's life through creative visualization. The poet Jack Kerouac, I can't say his name, Jack Kerouac, I think you know who I mean, San Francisco, with Pallas conjunct the North Node. So his Pallas was actually right next to his North Node, opposite of you, in his second house. And he protested against the materialism of middle class values. So you're kind of the opposite of that, but not really, because I do see that within you, because I do know you. Now, if I look at the aspects, I don't believe it particularly gives me North and South Node aspects in the literature that I found. And that's really the only aspect that it's truly making in your chart. So let's take a look at the grid, and then we'll also take a look and see how it's transiting, because Pallas would be showing up here in your 12th house, which is karma. It is past lives. It's spirituality. It's institutions. It's anything that is kept secret as well, the secrets that you keep. So we're going to explore that in just a second. Before I pull up the transits, since I don't have any specific literature to the nodal aspects to your Pallas, and I know that my new fancy software does, I just thought that I would bring up that data that I have. Now, the South Node in the second house represents a quest to learn self-control. You need to let go of the ingrained attitudes of past lives and place emphasis on spiritual values. The South Node in Taurus is a quest to incorporate change in your life. Your tendency is to want peace and quiet at all costs. You need to avoid weakening your spiritual strength by resisting change. Your challenge is to remain open to new possibilities. So you've got to switch some things up. You got to shake it up. You may find that your life is transformed. Transformed at some stage, stripping away the old to make way for the new. And I think that you kind of have experienced that, but you'll be a little shocked at what Pallas in the second house has to say. Most specifically, since I do know you, Pallas represents the wisdom seeker and intellectual pursuits, and perhaps handicrafts. Like Uranus, it has a bearing on wake-up calls, sudden change, and shocks. It rules a higher understanding of things and the processes, however challenging, difficult, and demanding, of change in one's life that are required to gain it. Palladian energy can be quite violent and disruptive, even destructive, making things as hard to endure as they need to get in order to catalyze necessary action and alteration. In this light, Pallas by transit can pinpoint to times of great stress, particularly if the person affected is resisting change. So where you're going to need the change is here in the 12th house. Something to do with past life karma, spirituality. So you're going to possibly need to shake up some of your practices, switch some things out, maybe. Pallas is also one of the symbols of the mind and prospers intellectual acumen and I just lost my spot, and the cultivation of intelligence. Pallas people tend to be smart and fast, quick on the uptake and quick in action, although negative or unskillful expression. Now remember, this is Pallas in the second house in Taurus. Although Pallas can be apparently stupid because blocked, no offense, on some level and clumsy. So when it comes to money, when it comes to possessions, wealth, there's something that is blocking you from acquiring because of this. And it's your job to figure out through your senses, Taurus, how to make that work. The energy of the asteroid can take quirkiness to the point of oddness and the inability to relate to normal ways. However, the best gift of Pallas are those of insight and understanding and the capacity to know and act in more astute, informed, and untimely, ultimately kindly ways. And there's another bonus. With this asteroid, Pallas seems to prosper a sense of humor. And we all know, well, I know how funny you are and the sense of humor that you have. And it's always prominent in the charts of satirists and comedians. So that's where this would wind up. Totally makes sense to me for you, Karen. One of the ways in which Pallas helps us to deal with the rigors and stress of life is to make a joke of things instead of crying about them. And I know that that is so you. This Pallas helps us all to become that much tougher as well as smarter, and helps us to laugh in the face of adversity whilst finding a skillful strategy to deal with whatever life throws at us. All right, so here we go. Pallas in the second house. You are adept and creative at handling money. You acquire money and possessions through creative schemes. You value your originality. Pallas in Taurus, you have the ability to see beauty in nature and the arts. You have much common sense and wisdom, and you may become involved in either healing with your hands or healing the earth through environmental movements. So the only other aspect that I would love to take a look at would be North Node, because this is really where you need to be pointing to. So with this opposition, she's really challenging you to get out of here and head straight to here. So let's take a look. And the North Node in the 8th house, this represents a quest to learn self-control. You need to let go of ingrained attitudes of past lives and place emphasis on spiritual values. Well, we already said that. And then the North Node in Scorpio, this is a quest to incorporate change in your life. Your tendency is to want peace and quiet at all costs. We already said that. You need to avoid weakening your spiritual strength by resisting change. Your challenge is to remain open to new possibilities. You may find that your life is transformed at some stage, stripping away the old to make way for the new. And this would have to also involve other people's money. With it being in the 8th house, this also has to do with death, rebirth, transformation. And I'm just trying to see, I mean, it kind of makes a small aspect to Saturn in a sense, but not really. But this would be, you know, where are the rules established in your life? And I would think that you could possibly be a rule breaker, or you want to break those barriers, make some changes. Although it's not showing up really as a big aspect, you're kind of within orb of a square between your natal Chiron and your Pallas. So you want to be empowered. You want to speak up for yourself, but there's something out in the collective that you're holding back due to fears that you could be, have within yourself. And therefore, I think that you could repress that empowerment because you're not allowing yourself to fully express yourself. So I would definitely, especially with your sun in Leo in the 5th house, I would definitely try some creative pursuits. We don't have to be professional, like even just try some drawing or some other type of creative hobby. If you can, make yourself a little windowsill garden. And I do have in my video library on YouTube, my friend Dawn, who is an art therapist, did some free meditation art therapy. And I have that video on my YouTube, I believe. You could watch it at your leisure, and you need absolutely no skills and really just a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil or a crayon or something. But the whole entire process is so cathartic. And I recommend that for anybody. So go check it out. It is a free video from Painted Willow Art. You'll see it in my YouTube library, I believe. And if you can't find it, reach out to me and I'll get you that link. She has so many free videos on her YouTube. It's my friend Dawn Fowler, and she's at Painted Willow Art on YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook. So go check her out. She does offer a lot of free fun things to do and no experience necessary. So that's what I have for you, Karen. And we're going to go on to Lisa B, because she has Pallas in Taurus as well, but I don't know which house it's in. Well, not so fast, Karen, because I totally forgot to look at the transit chart. So this inner wheel is your natal chart, and the outer wheel is the transit chart. So let's see how that is affecting you. So this particular transit is showing up in your 12th house, and it indicates that you will have more of a meditative mind, the ability to merge in your mind with the universe, and a desire to heal the world through words, because we have Mercury right next to, for at least a short time being. And you may be involved in some form of artistic expression. So now I won't be reading the Pisces, Pallas in Pisces yet, until the very end. But I wanted to read what Pallas in the 12th house would be bringing you, if I can find that. Because I can't seem to find it right now, right? Okay, so Pallas Athena in the 12th house indicates intelligence that is linked to the collective consciousness. I know you're going to love this. There can be a mastery of spiritual teachings. This position also suggests karma associated with the use of one's mind, intelligence, and belief system. One may experience limitations in the mind and intelligence, which could possibly be, I want to really caution you against any kind of mental stress You may really just need to get out, get with friends, get out in nature so that you can de-stress your mind. I don't want you spending too much time alone in your home because that could put a really big strain on you, especially with this 12th house. On a positive note, it depicts dedicating the use of your mind to benefit others, kind of like a spiritual service. And chart examples with Pallas in the 12th house, which is kind of like confinement. Angela Davis, she was imprisoned, and Patty Hearst was kidnapped because of their respective political affiliations. So I just want you to be really cautious and not imprison your own self in your own home by spending too much time with yourself, or getting yourself into too much trouble that you would wind up being imprisoned. I really like the fact that she is trining your Saturn. I think it's time for you to reinvent yourself, come out, and possibly, you know, find some sort of outside source of income. This would be a really great time for advocating for yourself in that respect. Very interesting that she's also making a beautiful aspect to Jupiter at your 7th house, which is relationships. And Jupiter, we all know, is a beautiful benefic that is expanding our lives wherever he shows up. So this aspect could be, you know, bringing you possibly a new romance or a new relationship. This also is the mental creative principle that is combined with expansive broadening of like this urge to really broaden your horizons, especially when it comes to your relationships. Jupiter symbolizes here the search for truth and meaning, and this combination emphasizes and enhances the wisdom activity of Pallas Athena. It's a beautiful, harmonious aspect that signifies the potential for exceptional intelligence. And these individuals, which would be you, are likely to possess a broad, far-seeing mind that grasps the implications of large social issues. So this would be a transit that's happening that's like broadening your mind on certain social platform issues. And it could even be within your relationships, I think. Now, I also want to point out that she is opposing your natal Mars. So, and it's in the 6th house. This is health issues, daily routines, your pets. This could also be the service to the world, which is our work. So you could be putting up a fight, you know, when it comes to that. That's that opposition. So make sure you get any kind of medical checkups that you need in the present time, and not to be, so to speak, upsetting the apple cart in your daily routine. You may need to take a look at some things and get moving and grooving. Let's see. What else? I think big surprises in relationships could also be coming your way. Also with children, there's that possibility. Trying to think. So she's also aspecting 1, 2, 3, 4. She's trining Ceres in your own personal chart. And let's see. She is another asteroid goddess, also known as Demeter, which I spoke about a month ago. And I am hoping I don't know. I don't think that there is, I don't think I have any information on that, which is a little shocking and surprising. Juno, Jupiter, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune. Huh. I'm kind of shocked that in my asteroid notes, I don't have anything for Ceres. That doesn't even make sense to me, because I would think, you know, she's the goddess of grain and harvest. She's down there in your fourth house. So that would be like sustainability for your home, for yourself, for your family. This is just saying to me that she's empowering you to improve your home life situation, improve, ask for more. I'm just picking up that you need to ask for more than what you currently have. I think that you may sell yourself short. All right, Karen, now I got to move on to Lisa B. Lisa B. So you are also Pallas and Taurus. However, you have her in the third house. Now, I do see that she's making a direct opposition to your sun in the ninth house. This would tell me that she wants you to, well, this is something that's always in your chart. She's forcing you to get out of your neighborhood and go expand yourself. There's like this constant struggle about staying put where you are or getting out into the world. So that's where I would see her showing up for you. I didn't see really any other aspects directly in your chart, but I bet when we pull up the transits, we will definitely see something. So if I talk about Pallas Athena in Taurus, we already did that with Karen, so I hope that you listen to that. We'll talk about Pallas Athena in the third house. So for you, Pallas Athena in the third house is an indicator of strong intuitive abilities. One can create with words and communications, revolutionize educational techniques, be an environmental activist. There exists a personal intelligence and a strong thirst for knowledge. I would say that writers, poets, lyricists probably have Pallas Athena in this sector. What I noticed is that when I was researching, there were a lot of artists that also had Pallas Athena in Taurus and world explorers. So I think that goes really well for you. Now, that aspect that she makes to the sun, it is a stressful aspect, and it may symbolize a fear of one's power to accomplish, which can lead to blocks in mental and creative processes. Difficulties may arise in relating to one's father or any kind of memories or images of your father. So this could bring up some stirrings within you. These individuals may feel alienated from your own sexual identity. Consequently, they can experience confusion in any kind of sexual interaction with others until you can clarify your own inner confusion. So what this would show me, this opposition, is that you could shut yourself off from physical intimacy with other people until you deal with your own inner emotions. All right, now let's put up the aspects so that I can see what's going on, and maybe we can get a more full reading since you're not truly aspecting a whole lot in your own personal chart. All right, so Pallas Athena is transiting your first house. That's the house of the self. And you can express yourself as a creative and original individual. You appear focused on mental pursuits and may appear to be detached from your emotions. Now remember, that's may appear. You may defy conventional male-female stereotypes during this period of time. Pallas in Pisces, and we spoke about this before, this would be for all of us, giving us the meditative mind, the ability to merge in our mind with the universe, and the desire to heal the world with our words. And we may be involved in some sort of artistic expression. So also to point out, Pallas Athena in the first house says, I spoke about this before, would suggest a strong personal identification with intelligence, power, and or creativity, and there can be a tendency to express androgynous qualities or defy conventional male-female stereotypes. So it's interesting. I don't know how that would relate to you or not, but this would be self-empowerment and feeling that balance of both your masculine and your feminine side. All right, so with her at 5 degrees, she is conjuncting your natal Mars and your ascendant. So that within itself is interesting, because I feel as though that would be self-empowerment on that ascendant for sure. And this would just be giving you the creative fire to fully express yourself like you have never expressed yourself before. Now, the conjunction with Mars talks about the mental creative principles that's combined with, here we go again, masculine principle of action and assertion. So this could have you a little over assertive during this period of time, and she will be transiting your first house for almost more than the next year. So just be careful about being overly assertive, overly aggressive, with things dealing with yourself, like, it's an outward show because it's your rising sign. This is how you're showing the world. Maybe people are seeing you as being a little too aggressive. Okay. This combination also emphasizes the valor and activism of Pallas Athena. So this is what's activated in your chart right now. Harmonious aspects denote the ability to execute well-thought plans with strategic skill and confidence. One has the capacity to actively fight for cherished ideas and emerge victorious. The masculine energies are very well developed and expressed. So this is exactly what you need to get your voice out there, to get yourself heard in the world. And I think that could be really amazing for you. I just want you to be careful. If there are any challenges, the resolution of the challenge lies in aligning one's creative thought processes with will and execution. Learning to access one's inner strength and courage appropriately will facilitate the process of balancing everything out. So what's interesting is that consumer crusader and protector Ralph Nader has been true to his calling of Pallas conjuncting Mars in Pisces. And so Ralph Nader, who was always on a quest to fight for the consumer, especially when they were getting shortchanged in a product or something. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but you can look him up. It's Ralph Nader. He had this same aspect going on in his chart, in his natal chart. So you're being empowered with standing up for not only yourself, but for other people during this time. All right. So now, when it comes to safety and security, there could be some fears that arise. And so I think that that's actually a good thing because it'll keep you on your toes so that you stay safe. You know, it's kind of like a survival type of mechanism that could be being instilled in you. So just think before you act. Let's see, what else do I have? 1, 2. All right, so we have an aspect to Saturn, and it's just asking you, this is what I'm picking up intuitively, be impeccable with your words, which I think you are, so there isn't a problem there whatsoever. Also, I'm just going to point out is this, your natal Saturn in the 3rd house in Gemini is that of a writer. So that's what you should be doing for a living, which totally makes sense to me because I believe you are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so Pallas is in conjunct your South Node in the 6th house, daily routines, daily duties, especially when it comes to creative projects. And so what I'm just picking up on that is that there's something from a past life where maybe you didn't speak up for yourself. Maybe you didn't speak up for other people in the world. And now you're being activated to do that. So that makes sense. That would be from a past life. It's almost as if something didn't get fulfilled in a past life, and therefore it's being activated now. It's like you are the lion's roar. You are the voice for the people, is what I'm feeling and hearing from my guides. The more charts that I'm reading, the more intuitive that I'm getting. So sorry for anybody. I guess everything, you know, it's relative. I get some information on some people, more information on another. But I feel like I see you as the lion, and you are, roar, you know, hear my voice, hear me roar. I am woman, hear me roar. Also to where this is related to health, just, you know, once again, I'm going to make sure that you are protected. And so, you know, put up your spiritual and physical protection. All right, what else? Nope, I don't see anything there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so Pallas Athena is trining your natal Neptune. So Neptune is ruled by Pisces. It's in your 9th house of expansion, exploration, travel. So you could possibly even be taking your voice on the road and seeing an even bigger dream than you had seen before. I do want to point out that Pallas in Pisces, Neptune currently ruling, formerly ruled by Jupiter, It's a very telepathic energy. So where I do see you using words, Pallas in Pisces is more of a wordless communication energetically and telepathically. So you may want to soften the words and just keep that energy within yourself. And that's really for all of us, because we're diving to the depths of the ocean here, diving to the depths of emotion here. And we don't really have to say as much as we think we do to get our points across, as long as we're carrying that energy, because it is a telepathic, collective conscious type of energy that's going on. It's also pointing to your midheaven. It's squaring almost 1, 2, 3. It's squaring your midheaven. So I just want to point that out. The square, it's a challenge to who you are in the world. It's a challenge to the status you are in the world. Also a challenge to possibly any career related aspects. So I just want you, to know that that could come at a cost. We're squaring Jupiter, which is a little bit of a stressful aspect. There could be conflicts between your ambition and ethics, especially if you have inflated achievement needs. So these may be caused by high expectations communicated by your father as a child, expecting excellence. This aspect may also indicate some mental blocks in expressing or understanding concepts and ideas at this time that are outside of your normal realm. But the confusion lies within Pisces, Pallas Athena being in Pisces. So it creates almost like a foggy mistiness in our brain that kind of makes things a little difficult for clarity. The resolution to these challenges lies in giving one's mental creative powers an expanded scope of social expression, one that benefits the highest social good for all. So that's pretty good. And I kind of think that you are doing that. I also want to point out that there's a beautiful aspect to your North Node in Aquarius, which is humanitarianism. It's the collective consciousness. So you are being empowered to step into that. This is a past life thing. I do want to point out that be cautious about becoming imprisoned. So, peaceful protests are wonderful. I want you to just check your safety, and also, be safe that there's no imprisonment involved with that. You never know. The world is a crazy place. So yeah, that's what I have for you, Lisa. Not a ton of information due to the lack of aspects, but powerful nonetheless.